Hello, Twitch, LinkedIn, X, and Facebook and YouTube. I almost said Twitter. I'm trying to call it X, which is its actual name. My name's Frank Lavinia. You can catch me on the various socials as at Frank Digs Data or on various URLs, franksworld.com, datadriven.tv, and impactquantum.com. Data Driven has a new episode that'll be coming out tonight, approximately midnight UK time, or Eastern time, depending on depending on what the site is set to. I keep setting it in one direction, but it keeps coming back. So the I do realize the title of this stream is a bit clickbaity, but it's the idea: did AI just kill the stock photography industry? And let me kind of explain where I'm coming from with that. So I will share my screen, and you will see some experiments that I've been doing. Let's see. I will share the entire screen, and maybe, just maybe, I'll do an experiment live here. All right. Well, in case you didn't know, I'm in the DC metro area, and we have quite a bit of snow today. Let me hide the chat window to get a little more real estate on the screen. There we go. It's also observance of Martin Luther King Day here, and in the U.S. And today we had a pretty wild storm, and there was a picture that I had on another computer, and I realized I got to do it again. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to say open link in new tab. Um, Actually, I want the image in new tab. Open image in new tab. All right. So this is I think that's Arlington. I think I recognize that building. What does it say? All right. So that is a generic looking building or snow kind of scene. I will create a folder here, and I'll call this demos, and I'll just download that. All right, so now with that in mind, I'm going to go into Chat GPT, and I'm going to upload that photo. Okay, and now I'm going to ask it, can you create a text prompt for a text to image generator from this photo? All right, and ChatGPT has been a little slow today. So I'll kick off this. I'll load that in the background. Okay, it really is slow today. There we go. Okay, so that is the image that I want to get. And if I go, I'll pick Microsoft Designer. It's actually a pretty solid product. It's actually a solid product. So I will do this. I'll hit generate. And just for fun, I'll try DALL-E as well. I like Microsoft Image Creator. Here you go. It has a nice halfway point between kind of the ethereal feel of Midjourney, and kind of the more practical feel of, say, DALL-E. All right, so here's the original. Here's the created one. I'm going to save that for later. So let me see. Can I open this image in new? There we go. So let's see. So if you look here, I mean, it's pretty solid. I mean, obviously, the car there is a little dated, but it did capture kind of the essence of the scene, right? And I think this is important to point out because if I were to embed this image on my website or publication or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, I would have to get permission to use this picture, right? More likely than not, right? And there's an entire industry of stock photography, right? And stock video. So if I go to um, um, Storyblocks, which I'm actually a customer of theirs. So you basically can look for images, et cetera, and you pay a premium for this, right? But what if I could generate it just with AI? I mean, it's not, I would say not that long ago, it's not impossible to imagine that future. The future is here today, right? So now, if I really wanted to, I can take this image, and if I wanted to create stock footage of this, actually, I did promise that I would take this prompt and now bump it over to DALL-E. Okay, labs.openai. And it doesn't matter, right? I have two of these kind of, all set up. Is it going to let me log in? All right. So I'll paste that. And what's interesting is I could go in and I can change the style of it. So if I wanted to make it more of a synthwave type feel. Now, in the past, what probably would have done would be to go into Photoshop and kind of modify the colors to make it look synthwave or change the style. Here we go. All right, so this is a little, you can see it captured the same theme of it, but not quite in the same context overall, right? Now, here's the thing. I'm not a lawyer, but no one really owns these images per se, and I know that this is working its way through the courts in terms of what can be copyrighted in terms of generated by AI. Now, if I go to here to Pika, which they actually now have a subscription tier, I signed up for standard because I mean, why not? It's actually pretty reasonable. But if you look at this, $58 a month, billed annually, works out to about $700 as their premium plan. But if you're working on building out if you're trying to build out like a studio or production company or anything like that, it's still pretty affordable. I think the Storyblocks, their high-end annual plan is about $300-400 a year. So for not that much more, you can just generate your own stuff. Now it's not perfect. You'll see that if I go here and I can go, so I did make, you'll see a little variation on the theme here. If you look at this anime scene, you'll see people kind of, how do I zoom in on that? All right. But you'll see, that I can kind of create that. That was originally a prompt from somewhere else in the library. But I could create, person using a laptop, corporate Memphis style. I was just trying to see what it would do. But you'll see I have this stock image. Now, her eyes do look a little odd, and there's some oddities around people. But you'll see, oh, one of my kids is really into Skibidi Toilet. Oh, you can't see it because I'm not sharing that. You can only see the middle ones. So if I go, so let's test this little hypothesis now. If I go and I will take an image as inspiration. All right, now keep in mind, we're starting with the image, this one here, right? Which is a AI re-rendering of this image, which is copyrighted. And I'm basically saying this. So now I'm going to go to Pika, and I'll say, animate this probably want to do a pan, maybe an aerial pan and zoom. Zoom in slowly. Snow is falling. All right, so I'm going to hit that. And it's going to add to the queue. And while we add to the queue, you can see some of the videos that I already made. And this is from an earlier experiment, similar idea, where there was a picture of the U.S. Capitol, and I basically had an AI kind of say, how would you describe this? How would you render this? And we're 14%. I don't know if this is going to kill the stock footage industry, but if I'm someone who's in the stock footage industry, I'd be very worried right now. In fact, I have an earlier example, which, a little shady ethically. But I can take a picture. We'll say Pond 5, I think, is one of them. Photos. And we'll look for snow. Now, let me set this up. Okay. So what stock images have all in common is that they'll have the watermark in there. So if I want to say download preview, it's going to want me to log in. Let's do this. Open image, a new tab. Again, this is shady ethically, right? But I would have to imagine that I am not the first person in the world to try this. Here now, and upload an image to edit. And that's the one I want. Okay, right now I have to crop it, so I'll just crop it, edit image. And what I want to do now is remove the watermark and click generate. Hopefully. Snowy day. And while we check on that, let's see how this is doing. Here we go. So this is my little video. You'll see that it did indeed do kind of the pan and the zoom slow. And it even has a car skidding down the street. So I can go here, I can say add 4 seconds, I can kick that back. So obviously there's a problem in terms of the aspect ratio and things like that. But that, I mean, at this point, I think the impressive stuff has already been proven. If I wanted to do this 6 months ago, 3 months ago, this is what it said. I said this day is coming soon. Yet here we are, right? It's already here. I could probably prompt it so it'll fill in the edges. But while we're waiting on that, let's see how our friend DALL-E is doing. All right, so there's the original. There's the original with the watermark. I erased the watermark, and we'll see that it produced, I mean, that's just about perfect. And I get a couple of variations, but each one of them is, I would say, acceptable. A little weird. This is kind of a little UFO thing going on, or UAP, whatever they're called now. But I can go here and I say, I want to edit this even further. And I could now fix the aspect ratio now. And I'll say generate. And we'll see very quickly, I will have something that is acceptable. And this one's a little shady ethically because I did kill the watermark. But you'll see that this is not that far away. And I know tools like Photoshop have kind of that magic eraser thing going on. And you'll see now I have 4 different options, some a little more realistic than others. I'll take that one. And now I can download this image, and now I have it at that aspect ratio. If I were in the stock footage business, I'd be very worried right now, right? And even though this is concerning, obviously removing watermarks is a little shady ethically, probably not totally illegal either. Probably violates one or more terms of service, so don't try this at home. But I think it's important to kind of see where this technology is headed. And obviously, I could probably go back, and I can go back to the to ChatGPT and say, "Here's my source image. I need you to create a prompt that would regenerate this." Right? And I would do the same thing, right? But we'll see now. What's fascinating about this is I didn't tell it to draw the car skidding, right? But it did it anyway. Um, the animation on the car is a little weird, doesn't quite, kind of, but I mean, just the fact that this is, I did it here live, right? There's no script, right? I, to my credit or to my disdain, and to some people's dismay and concern, I don't do scripts, right? These are very largely off the cup kind of live streams, not live screens, live coughing. But here it is. I just, just in a matter of 17 minutes or so, I was able to take an image, still image, from a local news site showing a street in Arlington, um, presumably Arlington, generate a get AI to describe the image, not just describe the image, but also come up with a prompt that I could regenerate it, and then animate that same image, um, and a little movie there, right? And I could probably add another 4 seconds, and I think that is the limit. It only goes to 11 seconds. But when you look at how motion, editing tends to happen, people tend not to. When you're working even with stock footage, right? You just the nature of cuts and edits. 11 seconds is plenty to set up an establishing shot, right? Um, this is amazing. The fact that even a year ago, 2 years ago, I would have said, "No, this is good 5, 10 years out." A year ago, I would have said, maybe 2, 3 years out. But here it is, January 15th. Um, it is the 15th, right? Yes, January 15th, 2024. If you would ask me, could this be done? Um, you know, if you asked me January 15th, 2023, I would have said, this is probably a couple of years off, right? Here we are. If I were someone who was um, invested in kind of these big stock footage libraries and whatnot, obviously there's some legal things that are well beyond my skill set. But I think that the ability for me to generate in the stock footage, based on something real, um, and even that, the original source image isn't really real, right? It's a recreation. It's an AI interpretation of a recreation of a real photo that does have real copyright attached to it. Um, and I can quickly do that. The state of the art here is moving so fast. I am constantly amazed. What a time to be in this industry. Um, and if you look at the cost for even the high end one, the low end, the basic plus package or whatever, this is free to start, $96 a year. And here we are. Let's see. Let's see what this looks like. Oh, looks like somebody fell out of the car. It's not perfect, but you know what? This is incredible. I am impressed with how this is working out. I'm probably going to see if I can change the aspect ratio and whatnot because I think that's a thing you can upscale images, etc. But just the fact that in under 20 minutes, I was able to basically, oops, there we go. In under 20 minutes, I was basically able to take a real photo, get an AI version, and then animate that AI version. And while I was waiting for that to happen, I took a stock photo and removed the watermark from it, um, and do some modifications. It's just phenomenal, and I would say for some people, very alarming. Um, yeah, the creative possibilities here are endless, and I encourage everyone out there, everyone within the sound of my voice, when you hear about generative AI, and I see this all the time with customers, right? First place they go, chatbots, chatbot on our website, which has its time, has its place, but I don't think we even can imagine the true disruptive power of generative AI. I don't think it's beyond chatbots. So I encourage everyone out there within the sound of my voice to think beyond chatbots. And with that, I'm going to end the stream and wish you a happy day and stay safe if it's snowing out by you.